Hey guys, I thought I'd show you a new project and process of my new design. So here it's milled piece of wood with a series of patterns, and I had CNC'd it in such a way where it's tapered. So I use a 60-degree end mill. And looking at it here, these are several different feeds and speeds and settings that I've used. And so this design calls for a resin inlay. So then I tried testing this, which is my first test for injecting resin using syringes, different colors. And I didn't know that it actually, the wood actually absorbed the resin. And so you can see some sort of cupping or cavity here in these pockets. And so I think this is the real reason why nobody does multicolored resin inlay. Is because of this fact here, because the resin actually is absorbed into the wood and it creates these cavities. Or if you want to sand it down with rough grit like 320 or 220 or 200 grit, smooth that down so then you can get a really smooth surface. So after a few tries, I was able to get this surface here, this smooth surface. And looking at some of these challenges that I went through, you know, some of these are different colors because they have mixed with each other when I overfilled them. So the next thing I wanted to do was, why don't I just 3D print the actual inserts and then just glue them in. So here I have these little inserts that I made here, and I can just insert them into the pockets. So I designed these inserts to fit exactly in the pockets and to have enough squeeze out after I glue it in to make sure it's in there. And so I'm wondering, why do I have this sticking out? Well, one, it's so I can actually grab it. And place them in the cavities or pockets here. And then so once after I'm done gluing them, I can actually break these off and then leave this in. So you see that's a 1 millimeter height sticking out. And so after that, once it's glued in, I can just sand this down. So I've gone through a few iterations of the inserts here because I actually wanted this to be a smooth surface or a clean finish. I have enough room to make sure this goes in deep enough after I sand it, so there's actually enough material sticking out. Turn this around. See what I'm working with here. So here's another feeds and speeds that I was doing with this new design, with this new insert. I used a down cut end mill, very fine, very small, 1/32 of an inch end mill. These are much cleaner. You can see here, I made this design to have some sort of a chamfer on the end. So it'll guide in these holes. I'm trying to do it with one hand. So that goes in like that. It is a little tedious, if you can understand, if you're such a small board, but if you can imagine filling these in 7,000 times, you have hundreds of thousands of pockets. It'd be a little tedious. So I knew I was on this right path, and so going with the inserts was a better idea than actually injecting resin onto the wood, because I didn't want them to mix with the other colors, and I didn't want them to re-add resin each time after I waited to cure. So I would have to wait another day in order to apply resin over that to fill the cavities. For examples like that here. So this is the final result. So I can use these inserts instead of injecting resin and having to reapply resin over it day after day, and also it gave me freedom to use different colors. So these inserts were 3D printed with my Anycubic Mono X 3D printer, a high resolution 3D printer that allows me to print several of these inserts. Obviously I glued the inserts, and then I broke off the stems, and then I sanded this down with 300 grit. And so if you can see here, it's a really smooth surface. And after I sanded this down, I just applied a thin stain here. So let me show you a before and after. If you can both look at both of these together side by side. No, it's a big difference, and it's very promising. If you can imagine this being all different colors. So in the final design, I'm not going to make it translucent like this. I mean, there is an option to, but it's going to be a solid full color. So these are just small scale tests. So let me show you what I'm working with here. So these is the pattern or the grid scale that I'm working with here. So this is the new project I've been working on. Hopefully you guys found this useful, and if you guys are interested in how this works out in the end, make sure to like and subscribe. You're only going to help this channel grow, and especially supporting me as an artist and a designer. I really appreciate that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.